2. It's 7 a.m. there.
It is. Damn, we're live. It is.
Damn.
Are you in Toronto?
I am in Toronto. Yeah.
10 a.m. for you?
10 a.m. Still early.
I'm in Santa Cruz, California, about as far away as I can be from you, except for Caleb, who's deployed in an undisclosed location even further away.
What's up, man?
Very, very far away. Paul, I always he's deployed, and he's basically I call him, I say he's part of an equity experiment, but thank God he's deployed, because then I get him every morning to help me with the show. He can't run away. I don't have to pay him. He's just stuck.
Perfect, man.
Yeah. He's
best.
He's the perfect partner.
Alrighty.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vindicate, Kenneth, Bruce, guys, Alan. I want to start this morning, and I want to show you a clip of Paul, a father of two. You have two, Paul?
I have 2. Yes, sir.
I want to show you this clip of Paul playing with his daughter.
Daddy loves you, my child. You, my love forever.
How old is she here, Paul?
She's 11.
And how old is she now?
11.
11. That's her.
Yeah, this was recently, very recently.
And what are you guys doing? This isn't checkers or
No, well, as far as it depends on the perspective, right? Like, I'm being a dad, trying to teach her some coordination skills, really trying to spend some time with her. To her, it's just a game. This is a drill called Sabayan, and it's a drill from the art of Bikini Tertia, which is a Filipino martial art. And it contains within this drill, 2 common strikes, but when I play it with my kids, it's more like patty cake. I don't know. Some of the comments imply that, she killed you. I guess it's or that's.
Did she, Paul? Did she?
She did, man. Little murderer. Also, this video got almost 1 million views, and it was just interesting how people interpreted this.
I didn't even think about it until you said the comments. Did anyone say, was there one negative comment?
Yes. Yeah, there were plenty. Yeah. And the predominant one was that I was giving her a false sense of security.
Oh, geez.
And that's not how knife fight goes. And I was just like, man, the context I wrote was I was just spending time with my daughter, like we were playing. And this is the thing about the knife world, right? People infuse their interpretation of value into all sorts of things. And this was me spending time with my daughter, playing with those awesome AccuStrike knives, and me teaching her a little bit of the Filipino martial art.
Those of you who are worried that this isn't how a knife fight goes, also remember that 86% of the cell phones in the United States have watched porn, and that's not how relationships go.
All right.
So let me put that out. That's not how healthy relationships go.
No.
Let me tell you that. You also there's a video on your Instagram. It's an amazing Instagram, by the way, people. It's GN_Funker Tactical. It's one of those accounts that you can just get lost on. There's so much fun stuff on there. He has a ton of cool stuff showing athleticism, comedy, but also a ton of micro tutorials on things. Like I caught myself setting my phone up and practicing, the triangle footwork.
Yes.
It's like a common theme in your Instagram account. I'm like, I don't have time to practice this shit, but I'm preparing for a podcast, but I stopped and I did, and I'm going to show my sons today. But there's a video in there where you're training with your son, and you basically say that he's young. You basically say that he doesn't even know what he's preparing for. Like he doesn't know that this is a drill for knife fighting or for warming up. It's just a patty cake game to him.
Yes.
And I thought that was so cool, because that's how I do. My kids have been doing jiu-jitsu 3 to 7 days a week for 3 years.
Damn.
I never talk to them. I let them figure out what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. My kids also did jiu-jitsu, and that 11-year-old girl, I mean, she was a provincial champ.
Wow. In jiu-jitsu?
In jiu-jitsu, she was like 9.
Wow.
Yeah, but she hated it.
Hey, that's a crazy scene, by the way. I'll go over to, I'm in Santa Cruz, so I'll go over the hill. Yeah, and here's your son. How old's your son?
He's 15. Yeah, and he and I have been playing this since he was, maybe 10, 9 years old.
God, how fun. And you're building a dance partner for yourself.
Yeah, and he's a little over a year into boxing now.
Yeah.
I've been building this guy up to be my training partner since he was 3 years old.
And it's a lot of reps, right? It's slow and patient and
yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, you guys know this, but all the, I don't know, the uninitiated think everything needs to be like a full-on pressure test fight and train like you fight how you train, and they just spew all of these, memes, and without really understanding it. Not that there isn't any truth to train as you fight as you train, slow as smooth as fast, better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6, and all of these, one-liners that people wish to encompass the totality of their training to without really understanding what they mean. Weird stuff, man. The knife world is weird, dude. Training world, martial art, it's so weird, man.
Well, it is weird. I trip on the fact. So I go over the hill to San Jose. I enter my kids in these jiu-jitsu tournaments that they have every few months.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you're lucky if you see one blonde-haired person there, which I find fascinating, right? It's all people who look like you. It's all Filipinos, Latin American people, Brazilian. It's all those people. And then it's another interesting thing that we must be weird parents because we're all bringing our kids to do a combat sport on the weekend. And I go, and part of me is like, this is so cool. And part of me is like, what's wrong with us? Yeah. There's my young, or my oldest.
Awesome.
He just turned 8. Yeah. And those are my, and he's training with one of his brothers. There's twins.
That's amazing, man. Jiu-jitsu is so good for kids, bro. It's so good for them.
Hey, you know what? Way off subject here, but you know one of the byproducts of it are that I never expected was comfortability touching people.
Oh, huge.
My kids are so touchy-feely, loving when they see other kids.
Huge.
They're not afraid of people's bodies. They're not afraid of their bodies.
Yeah.
They sit close to people. They just understand their bodies so well. And in a era where so many people want to where kids' identity is so fucked up and parents are putting so many fucked up things into their heads, I just love the fact that I don't have to do that. I just give them opportunity and they're building their own identity. So if I ask my kids, who are you? They're like, they give their name. And then I say, well, what's something that you're good at? And they're like, jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like they're just building. They don't have to worry about any of these crazy ideas that adults are putting into their head about their identity.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And the thing with jiu-jitsu that I really found, somebody dropped this into my brain a few years ago, this idea of manufacturing adversity, and that children these days don't really get the kind of adversity that people our age had growing up, because I was in that transition. Like I grew up in the Philippines until I was 9 years old. So I was out in the streets, playing, exploring, finding trouble, figuring out what I can step on and what will make me fall through, and you being chased by animals. And a lot of the kids growing up these days don't have that kind of gradual incremental adversity that tests and builds their character. And so jiu-jitsu is one of those ways where you can manufacture adversity to build character. So there's a lot happening in a kid's jiu-jitsu class, a lot happening.
But before we leave this subject, and I want to go back to the beginning of your life, but how, for parents out there, like I have no combat experience, zero at all.
Me too. People think I do, man, but I'm not. I'm straight up civilian.
Yeah, but man, you've really immersed yourself in a world, and you are a wealth of knowledge. And I think what you're sharing with the world and what you're doing I call it a repeater, man. You just going out there and repeating good information you're getting is awesome. But do you have any thoughts on how parents can pick a good jiu-jitsu gym or good coaches? It's been something I've been focused on a lot, the importance of making sure you find a coach, because you're taking your kid there 3 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And your kids are spending time there. And a lot of facilities, like you could take your kids to a gymnastics facility, and if you watch, it's just a glorified babysitter.
Right.
But that's not why I take my kids somewhere. Do you have any You know,
I do, man. I do. And it's not high level stuff, right? If the place is clean, if there are a lot of kids of different ages and sizes, and if they roll, that's really it, you know. Parents who are
you mean
looking,
when you say role sparring in the class?
yeah, yeah. And that's some people will be like, duh. No, some places are still prohibitive. You know, they're scared. They're scared of the liabilities. So it's a jujitsu class with no rolling. They exist. But that's pretty much it. You know, observe how the kids are during a class. And again, I say this as, you know, as a parent who knows that probably the number one factor is proximity to your home. You know,
Right.
it's got to be close by.
Right.
It's got to be close by so that, you know, you could be consistent with it. And I'm also saying this as somebody who, not from the perspective of a parent who's like, okay, well, from the age of 3, I'm going to get my kids to do a sport so that they can be a professional one day, and then that could be their living. You know, it's just for pure development. Just make sure there's a handful of kids there, enough to challenge them. It'd be nice if they weren't the biggest kid there.
Right.
Yeah,
I've pulled my kids out of a situation where he's the rabbit. Like, he's been the rabbit for a year, and it's like time to move him. Like, he needs kids that he's chasing, not everyone chasing him.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. He can't be the best kid in the class for long.
Absolutely.
Born in the Philippines.
Yeah, man.
Were you barefoot kid? The way you said you had to worry about what you stepped on. You raised without shoes?
We were all raised without shoes in the Philippines. No, I was actually. I mean, I was raised in a pretty big city, but like a lot of people in the Philippines, there was a provincial sort of rural connection where our grandparents might live and a place that we might visit over the weekend. So I had this like crazy childhood where I was like jumping roofs, some tin, some plastic. I've like fallen through wells. I've been attacked by monkeys. I've been in, you know, scuffles. I've been thrown into a boxing match just as a friggin' 8-year-old running wild in the streets of Manila. And then in the weekend, you know, we would drive to grandma's house, and you know, the closest neighbor, you know, was maybe, it wasn't far. It's not like, you know, rural America or anything, but it was proper jungle, you know, like the backyard led into a river system, a creek. Rice fields were full of awesome things. So yeah, I had a super fun childhood in that way.
And do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 3 sisters.
Are they all in the States too?
No.
In North America?
Yeah, they're all in Canada here.
And I apologize for that. Us Americans have trouble. We just think we are all of North America.
It's all good. I'm used to it, bro. Yeah.
And why did your family go to Canada? And what was that journey like?
My dad was ambitious, man. You know, he knew how to speak Japanese and French. Well, English is their second language in the Philippines, and he was just adventurous, and he wanted to look for opportunity. So, boom, roulette wheel, Canada, Toronto, let's go.
And what was your first language?
It was Tagalog and English
at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you showed up in Canada, you spoke English.
Yeah. I didn't have to take like English as a second language classes or anything like that.
And so you're a 9-year-old Filipino boy with 3 sisters. Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I am.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
In traditional stuff in that sense, there's a responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah, you know, my family, my dad was always black sheepish, you know, like he would just be a supremely logical individual. So certain traditions he would adhere to. I remember him not wanting to go to church, which is kind of strange. You know, Philippines is like 90% Roman Catholic or something like that. He was just kind of like an adventurous logical, free thinker kind of dude. So yeah, we had tradition, but yeah. Also, when we moved to Canada, I was we had no family here, no family, right? My father passed away when I was 19 years old, so 10 years later, and I was the
Why so young?
I guess it runs in the family, heart issues. He had a stroke. Yeah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I'm the last Rubio
Wow.
in this cold place. And so it was very important part of my life where, you know, this is why I'm so resistant to a lot of the Filipino martial arts community, where a lot of them are pretty much respect your elders, whatever they say is right, and this is how you stop a knife. I'm just like, what the wait, hold on. Let's examine that, because I had this built into me to question everything and not just bow down to, my elder. I made this video in Filipino martial arts about Filipino martial arts, and the title was "You Are Not My Elder," and it was just like, it was about this. It was just about we shouldn't readily accept these stories that were being told about these techniques that are supposed to work. And that was because of the upbringing that I had. So people find it strange. I don't belong in either, sect in Philippine martial arts. Like I'm not entirely combative. I love the art, history, and culture. But I'm also not like so dogmatic and blind to, there's a lot of bullshit in this. Let's address them.
That being said, you are by no means a hater. Your account is full of tons of respect. Even when you address people who have techniques that you think are flawed, you're respectful. And there's even a video on your YouTube where you go and you apologize. You find a guy who's an expert in the field, who you had it out with on the internet, and you make amends.
Yeah, that was Craig Douglas from Shivworks.
I was blown away when I saw that video. I was like, holy, it gave me hope for all of humanity. I don't even know what the dispute, I didn't know what the dispute was, but just the way you came up and you addressed him and you squashed it. I was like, wow.
Yeah. A few years back, I had questioned one of the techniques that he was proposing, and it kind of got, how social media is, people love drama. Yeah, that's the man right there, Craig Douglas. He's actually a really cool dude, but he's a no nonsense guy. And I was at that time to him just another internet troll asking questions perhaps I shouldn't have been asking the way that I should have been asking them. So a few years down the road, like we were at the same event, and I made an active attempt to talk to him and be like, hey dude, let's talk about it. I'm a different person. I want to clear some things up. And then we're buddies now.
Did he remember the incident?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Because people
he
blew it way out of proportion, man. In fact, as I was going to that event, there were people messaging him and messaging me like, hey, Craig Douglas is going to be there, and he said this about you. People they were just kind of like, fight.
Yeah. I picture a schoolyard.
Yeah. So I got these messages. I'm like, what? Man, people are weird, dude. So as soon as he stepped into the hotel where we're all kind of staying at, I stepped up. I'm like, hey, man. Shook his hand, and I'm like, I think we need to talk.
Yeah, it's a beautiful video that shows how gentlemen should act.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Those things are hugely impactful. It's like, we have this rule in my house: if my wife and I get in a fight in front of the kids, if we're dumb enough to do that, then they also need to see us make up. It's our obligation for them to see, hey, this is how a fight starts and this is how it ends.
Man, that's awesome.
Right? They need that lesson too. They need to.
Absolutely.
They need to know how relationships work. So you get there at 9 years old, and when you get to Canada, have you started in the Filipino arts?
No.
Martial arts? No.
You know how long ago I started doing Filipino martial arts?
1,000 years ago from the way it looks on your Instagram.
No, it's like 5-6 years.
No kidding.
Yeah. There's a process to it. I'm smashing dudes in competition, right? And this is, again, a part of why
And you're a beautiful mover. The way you move your body is so beautiful.
Oh, thanks, man. That's
It looks like you've been doing it forever. Yeah.
yeah. No, dude, I like the way you think, man. You're like this cosmic observer and appreciator of some things that people might not.
I
see
love
or
watching
appreciate.
people move. I love watching
Me too,
people move.
dude.
Yeah.
Me too. Like that's the thing. It doesn't like lie. Oh, geez. Yeah. that's
How old
that's
are you
good.
now?
I'm 42.
Okay, so so around 35 is when you started.
Yeah.
37, 35, 37.
Yeah. I was initially just documenting stuff. Dude, I sit all day. I'm a video editor. I'm a content creator. I'm a cameraman. I'm a director. I'm all those things. And man, this is another crazy tangent story about how
Please.
a civilian Canadian hippie-ish immigrant all of a sudden runs Funker Tactical, traveling the world with special forces and, going to Africa with Chris Barrett and friggin'
Your contacts and your friends are insane. The people that you're rubbing shoulders with are just insane.
Yeah, dude.
From Bisbing to, I saw the Dana White photo to what's the Max Holloway, and then to all of these guys who are the unknowns in the shadows, endless guys of those who are imparting knowledge on the world. Ed Calderon, we had him on the show. Crazy.
Yeah, you know what I think it is, dude? It's like there's a lot of fakeness in the tactical community and the martial arts community. There's a lot of, and even in, it's like my ops are blacker than yours, and friggin', oh, were you here? Oh, were you there? And what belt did you have? And how many certificates? Certification. I'm just like, dude, I don't care, man. And so I find also that a lot of people are trapped within like this image that they've crafted for themselves. You're a big tough Delta. When you can't enjoy Mario Kart, like you can't enjoy a chai latte, bro. We know the truth, man. And I just think people like that in those positions and situations just kind of appreciate somebody seeing them as a fucking human being. First of all, like, hey, what do Mr. Badass dude who's like done extraordinary things for humanity? Like, what do you have in common with me?
Right.
Do you watch Netflix too and like eat too many cookies sometimes? And I that's how I think I get to rub shoulders and go on all these adventures.
Meaning you disarm them because you're a real person with them. You connect on a level that's not just the combative protector world.
Yeah, and I'm not judgmental at all, man. For a period in my life, this was my job. Okay, I would get a phone call. And I would have to fly somewhere to talk to a veteran because they're ready to share their story on camera, stuff that they'd not told their wives or their families. I'd worked for this veteran-owned and operated PTSD intervention and awareness campaign. And part of that was telling these stories. And I was the guy who they flew to meet a stranger, and then in half an hour, we're both bawling our eyes out. And then I got to go edit that video and tell that story, recreate that story, so that other people will be like, "Hey, that happened to me too." And
how I want to get to that in 1 second. By the way, have you read The Longest Kill by Craig Harrison?
No, I think that's no longer the record, by the way.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, you mean it's not The Longest Kill?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For what it's worth, that's not even what the book's about. So, yeah, that I highly recommend that book. You've probably heard the stories. He's going to be on the show soon. I read the book.
Super cool, man.
What an insane story. What an insane. This is a brutal story about PTSD. It is absolutely, and it was one of those audiobooks. I was so sad when it was over, but this is a remarkable book. I think you will love it.
Okay.
It is
audiobook. Audiobook is fine. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically, the abusive childhood, enters the military, while he's in the military, can't get along, goes AWOL, tries to join the French Foreign Legion. After the French Foreign Legion finds out that he's AWOL, they send him back to the UK. He basically just cleans up dead bodies for 4 years, and he goes into excruciating detail about all the bodies he has to clean up and piece kids into bags. And then he finally begs to be a sniper, and after 2 years, he gets to become a sniper. And it is I can't even believe I can't even believe this is real life. And then he comes back and he's fucked. He's fucked. He's fucked.
The most severe,
so vulnerable.
Commenting like dude's vaping on the show. Sorry, man. is that cool?
Do what you want. Do what you want.
Thanks.
Hey, we had Hunter McIntyre. I don't know if you know who that is. He's one of the fittest men in the world. He's a High Rocks world champion. It's this. Okay. It's this kind of it's like a CrossFit workout that this other company has taken and just made the whole event is around that. Yeah. And I've had him on the show and he's vaping. I'm just like, holy shit.
Cool. Yeah, we're not. I mean, don't let me into the vapor guy, please. It's just my way of culling the nicotine. So I guess it's semi better than smoking cigarettes or being on that chew stuff, which is awesome. But yeah, it's just nicotine.
Nicotine's a powerful drug. Another fascinating topic on the show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Very powerful.
Yeah. But anyway, I was gonna say, like, the speaking about that book and what you noted about it, probably one of the most severe cases or instances of PTSD that I've documented was from a combat cook. Like, yeah, the guy in the fob cooking up the meals, and I'm like, before this video was even released, you had all these people like kind of bagging on the dude, like, oh, okay, well, you know what it is, man. It's like all the infantry guys are like, what? But then some people they're like, oh, I get it. But he was the dude, as soon as that, truck of ANA dudes were going to be offloaded and prepared for their families, like basically casualties, he's the first guy to volunteer to process, right? Oh. So he was around death and like just the smells and the things he had to do, and he was like that bridge. He saw how families reacted to the individual and how that impacted them, and he had to prepare in some way to hand the family back. So it's
what's ANA crazy, stand for?
Afghan National Army.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry, one more time.
Afghan National Army.
Oh.
In the Air Force, the chefs or like the cooks, they also have to do mortuary affairs. So they're the ones that are also like processing bodies and stuff too.
Yeah.
So like,
oh shit,
you could have somebody who's making lunch, and then they get a casualty come in, and they have to process them like that afternoon, essentially.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And I this is just one thing that it's just a byproduct of ignorance from people and how quickly they comment online. And we can talk about, a martial arts move, all the same. It's just people are generally ignorant of a lot of things that they want to appear to be experts at.
And it's easy because they're sitting behind their computer, or they're on their phone on a subway, and they can just spout off.
Yeah, dude.
So at 9 years old, you're already familiar. You've already learned your body pretty well from just exploring Manila and being a free range kid. It sounds like.
Yeah, nice term. I love it. Yeah.
And then you come to the United States into Toronto, and do you pick up any sports? What do you do to keep yourself busy and start moving? Do you do sports? Do you do martial arts? Do you do anything like that?
No, I did a year of Muay Thai. I did a year of this thing, which was like a blend of karate and something else. But I've always been outside. I've always played. I've always wrestled with my friends. I just loved controlled fighting. Like even in high school, I wasn't like a punk, but I wanted to fight. So I made friends with the big guys and the tough guys. And then I even organized one thing where we'd go to the YMCA, lay down mats, and just kind of play fight.
Wow.
But I've never really taken any formal class, like in the Filipino martial arts and the bladed arts. I've never taken regularly scheduled classes. I've never subscribed to one instructor. I was just fortunate to have crafted a career that allowed me to travel and seek out experts. And because they know, like, I'm not going to be, I go to some, highly touted grandmaster, and we have a chat and we do knife flows and we play. It's a very pure interaction because they know I'm not going to be their student, that I'm not going to sign up for the 3-month trial that leads me into the 1-year membership, that I'm not a belt chaser. So we just have this like very pure exchange of information. And I've done that for over a decade across the field of fighting, from, precision shooting. Like, I was helicoptered up to the Rocky Mountains with some Canadian snipers. And I'm just finding all of these really, really interesting commonalities across the spectrum of fighting. Like a karambit and a sniper rifle, like at the two extreme ranges of combat, there's things in common.
What's a karambit?
Oh, a karambit is like a curved blade.
Okay.
With a ring. It's like a Southeast Asian knife thing. Yeah.
Oh, I got one of those from Home Depot for opening boxes.
Yeah.
And I cut a hole in my leg.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah.
Jackass.
Yeah, those are pretty. Again, the karambit is it sucks compared to a straight edge, fixed blade, but it's just one of those things that people are mystified about because it looks freaking cool. It looks like the claws of a tiger, and T-1000 had a baby. Like, geez.
Right.
Nice,
like it's the nail of it.
Yeah.
You said you're 42?
Yeah.
So 31 years ago, you picked up your first video camera. 11 years old.
I was 11 years old. Yeah.
And
Sony 8 Handycam.
With the big cassettes.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
medium size. They were thick. They weren't the mini DV.
They weren't the mini DV. They were the precursor to the mini DV. And then there was High 8. And then there was 8, yeah.
And whose camera was that? And why did you pick it up?
That was my dad's. I was 11 years old. He brought one home. And as soon as I looked through that viewfinder, I was like, this is what I want to do forever. And it was
really? You knew?
Oh, I knew, man. I knew the moment that I was able to preserve a moment in that way and play it back. It's like, this is freaking awesome. This is what
I came after you, which is kind of crazy. I had that camera right there. I had like 3 of the high 8s I got from Circuit City. And then I moved to DVD, but I came a little bit after you. I started in probably 2000. And so you would shoot these movies, and as a young kid, were you frustrated that you couldn't edit them? Did you know right away that was a missing piece?
I edited in camera. You would just kind of like compose the shot, and then time when you hit record to make a cut.
Right.
Make a cut, so to speak. But that didn't last very long, because when I was in high school, excuse me, my school had an AV program that shut down when I was in grade 11. So me and my friends stole like the linear editing equipment. So we had, for the longest time in my house, I had like a VHS to VHS editing machine, like manually scrubbing videos. And I've been editing also for a long time.
Hey, isn't it crazy like that a school would shut down their video editing program when you're junior, knowing now what the future looked like? Like, they should have doubled down and quadrupled the size of the program instead of shutting it down, because now it's like, I mean, that we're here. That is the job, a video editor.
Well, the thing is that equipment was really, really, really expensive back then.
I remember,
right. And so even to just have an editing platform, which is essentially 2 VHS decks together, was like $70,000, right? So it was, and then at that time when technology was like revving up and things were getting replaced and things were getting smaller, there's a period of time where it's like a studio would buy $60,000 or $100,000 cameras, and then in 3 years they're practically obsolete, but they
Yeah.
can't afford to replace it, right? So there was
Right.
this weird time where we were watching high definition, standard definition, and some really crappy looking stuff with some gorgeous looking stuff. It was a very interesting time, but yeah,
Yeah, the iPhone's better than any camera that we started
Dude.
with.
it's nuts, man. Yeah.
So you actually took the equipment from the high school. Do you remember? Did you sneak in at night? You actually remember doing that?
No, I was actually part of like it had been in this room with like chairs stacked on top of it, and it was only like a handful of guys who were really into that stuff. And so somebody would take a light from that room, or and then one day my buddy was like, do you want this? I'm like, fuck yeah. So it was in my room. It was in my room. I wasn't part of like the break-in crew. I wish I was. That sounds really cool, but no.
And then Paul, when we used to make videos, there was nowhere to show them. So I would make the videos
Yeah.
because there was no internet yet and there was no YouTube, and I would take them down to the public access station. I don't know if you guys had that in Canada, and I would give them the tape and they would tell me what time they were going to air it. And then I would go up and put flyers all around town.
Wow, you did that?
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
To announce that my show was coming on. And if I got just one viewing, I was like beside myself, and I would throw a party at the pizza place and I would put it on the TV.
Dope, man.
I would put it on the TV in the pizza place, and we would do that. And I did that for years. I did that for 3 years.
That's crazy, man.
Were you disappointed you couldn't find an audience for your stuff?
Oh,
or
man.
did you find an audience?
It was such a great pleasure in content creation that if I had 5 people watch it, it was awesome. And then I ended up going to college for broadcasting as well. And so it was just from the moment that I was 11, it was just like a gradual growth of audience from just my immediate family to my extended family to my classmates to the college. And then right around that time was when YouTube was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So we started uploading our content there. And it was like, holy crap, bro. Like, see that? Like 45 views.
Yeah.
Damn, 45 views. I wonder who these people are. Yeah. And yeah, it was just a really interesting evolution for me.
What do you remember when starting your first? Is this Gunner Tactical Funker Tactical your first? Is that your original YouTube station?
No. I mean, in college we had it's all down now because like we were using copyrighted material and like
right.
But no.
God, do you remember when that happened, when they swept in and just like everyone was using stolen songs and everything?
Yeah.
you're this kid and you're getting threatened by some big music company.
It's funny, man. Like the Funker Tactical YouTube channel has over 1 million subscribers, and I rarely upload there anymore. Kind of got burnt out in a way from the tactical community.
You did?
Yeah.
There's just it's a tough place to be because there's so much criticism. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna take a break from this.
I'll tell you, man, when I first got into it, everyone's like, oh, it's a tight-knit community, everyone looks out for each other. It's bullshit. It's not the case. Somebody has the wrong site and he's being attacked by 1,000 people. You know what I mean? And it's also like a very on the business side of things, there's like a thin veil of civility amongst these firearms manufacturers and these accessory manufacturers, and especially at the onset of like, the YouTubers. I used to go to last 2 years were the only 2 years I didn't go to SHOT Show for like maybe 7 years.
For people who don't know, that's a huge show in Las Vegas where, I don't know, thousands of people in the combative space show, and they hire their favorite Navy SEAL to man the booth, and people walk around and look at the latest and greatest.
It's like Disneyland for gun guys, pretty much.
Right.
But yeah, there was just a lot of, I mean, the tight-knit community was there, the support was there, but it was also like, it was a grind, man. Like I was producing videos for like Smith & Wesson and Barrett, and doing pieces on the new Glock, and friggin', it was just endless. It was a grind. I enjoyed every bit of it, but there was no conversation to be had, man. There was almost no room for logic, no room for debate, no room for skepticism, especially when the guy presenting the thing that you're questioning, has, this storied military background. It was almost disrespectful for somebody who has no military experience to have a question and to have a voice. But, there were these beacons of hope, like Kawa Malai, right? Like this dude, Too Alpha to Quit, that dude, or even like Tony Setmanat, who's a SWAT operator. There were just all of these guys, Craig Sawyer, guys that I would meet. They're like, bro, you have the right to question. Like, it doesn't matter what somebody did. The number one foundation is logic, and that we welcome healthy civil debate. But everyone says that,
right?
Everyone.
I was gonna say, how do you know if they really mean it?
Because I press them on it. I actually am skeptical, and I ask. One of the biggest things, right? Everybody in this space wants to be the player coach, the teacher student, the white belt mentality. They're always learning. Right. Every Sifu, guru, grandmaster, expert will make that claim. I'm still learning, part-time instructor, full-time student, like that kind of crap. And then I'd go, okay, when was the last time you took a class from somebody else? And they'd be like, but some people would be like, oh, last month taking, combat submission wrestling with Eric Paulson. And so yeah, Real World Tactical. Somebody just made a comment. Tony Setmanat, solid dude, great guy. And yeah, I just couldn't find a voice, and it was really hurting that I couldn't ask these questions. So I'm like, I'm gonna go into this martial arts world and see what's up. Seems more open-minded, right? There's only, if Master Sergeant was like, "This is how you pull a trigger," I'm like, oh, that's how you pull a trigger. But in martial arts, if somebody says, this is how you throw a kick, there's a bunch of opinions. We can have a discussion. But it's just as closed-minded, man. It's just as dogmatic. It's just as this is the way I was taught, and this is what my master did. And then it becomes comparing, well, your master didn't really fight. And my master had 8 fights. I was like, let's just talk about logic, man. Let's talk about what you're capable of, how it's taught. Because not to be, postmodernistic about it, but like there is some truth to, nothing works and everything works, right? But it's a slippery slope. Like, we don't want to be teaching nonsensical stuff to somebody who wants self-defense solutions, which ought to be immediate, and you should have functional skill sets in a relatively short period of time. But yeah, it was just as dogmatic and closed-minded, but there was more room for conversation. And that's where I sort of crafted my voice. And now, hopping back into the tactical community, I can articulate these things, and I can be a little bit more, I can present myself as a skeptic, despite not having served in law enforcement, nor military, nor even professional security. Just a dude who kind of traveled the world, met with all these people, had these conversations, stumbled back home drunk after like an awesome night of just hanging out with these dudes. And, I come back and I'm like, I'm questioning this Krav Maga master, who claims to be like Israeli special forces. But, they're all special forces. Like, technically, like, I've never met a Krav Maga guy that wasn't Israeli special forces. Like, they've got a ton of special forces. But, but we can go beyond that. We can go beyond their certificates on the wall and just, hey, let's talk about mechanics and possibility versus probability, and, capability versus development. How can you claim that this technique works? And, people still get upset by it.
But you've earned your stripes. You took your lickings. You've established yourself. I watched a podcast recently where these people own a big security firm, and you basically did a podcast with them. I can't remember exactly. And it's more like a consulting session. It's these two guys who are,
Yeah.
experts in their field, but they have you on their podcast and they're super respectful. And they're basically asking you questions as if they paid you to be their consultant. I mean, you
That
earned your
happens.
stripes. Yeah.
Thank you, man. And that happens quite a bit. People are surprised. But then again, man, you look at my Instagram account. There's like dick jokes and inappropriateness and things that
I love those breaks. I feel like I'm
psychedelic
running up.
stuff.
I love those breaks with all the funny shit you got in there, mixed in there.
Yeah, and I show my mistakes, bro, which is something that nobody really does in the subject matter expert field. I show me getting stabbed and get rocked, and like, oh frick, I dropped my knife.
Right.
This yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, this one's crazy. Have you ever had a real job, whatever that means?
Yeah, I had one real job one time.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually, I was a master control operator for a broadcast satellite company, which meant I got to watch TV and monitor it for quality and make sure that it was up and running. It's super cool job, man. Super cool. There's like 500 TV monitors in front of me, and I could punch up stuff here. And yeah, that real job didn't last for very long because no, I didn't get to enjoy that for very long because then I had a kid right after, and I was like, damn, that's good money.
And so you're just you're at heart you are an artist and you're an entrepreneur and an artist.
Yeah, a creator, like we all are.
And so you're in Canada. The video camera comes at 11. Has it been steady ever since?
Yeah.
It's always been okay. And then that you like the physicality of tussling with your friends. You're organizing stuff, and the local YMCA to like, hey guys, let's get a room and just fool around, wrestle, throw down. And when does it become more? You start to see that those two worlds are going to blend, and you're actually going to try. Do you ever think, hey, I'm going to try to make a business of this, or are you like, it just happens organically? Well, I like tussling and I like video cameras, and so I'm going to start mixing the two together. And then, how did those two merge? And that you think, oh, I could actually do my two favorite things and make money.
Yeah, I worked in TV, I worked in film sets, and then the catalyst for me taking the plunge, I always knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I had to figure out a way to make money, right? But specifically how martial arts and tactical got melded with the content creation, that's a cool story. I smashed my ankle in a snowboarding accident when my wife was 8 months pregnant.
Oh, bad timing.
It was really terrible, and it was in the middle of winter. It was bad. But the insurance companies and doctors gave me 4 months to heal, and then I dedicated everything to like, I would wake up and just do an hour of like ankle circles, and I would try like Panamanian jungle oils. And anyway, I cut that healing time in half. I healed in 2 months, but I didn't. The doctors and the insurance guys, they gave me 4 months. So in those 2 months, I literally went out with my camera and I just told stories. I met with strangers. I told these like little mini documentaries, and then that's when it was really like, this is definitely what I want to do, and I'm gonna leave this cushy job to just go head first. And then everything kind of just snowballed from there. But
wow, was that scary making that leap?
Super scary. It was the scariest thing I'd ever done, man. It was, yeah, and it was a.
Did your wife protest?
No.
Yeah, she believed in you.
She kind of knew how I was, and that I'm kind of miserable when I'm not doing something that I love and creating. She knew how happy I was when I was just making videos and sharing them. So yeah, that's her.
She is.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, so it's just I got, dude, I was telling stories for like, Xbox Canada and PlayStation. I was at the Montreal Grand Prix doing videos for the Mercedes Petronas team. I was just like in this consumer electronic, fashion, gaming world, just telling these human stories, right? Like when the Splinter Cell came out by Ubisoft, they had me talk to the motion capture team and then I think it was a background artist team, and I just told like these stories, short little stories. And then when I got kind of pulled into the tactical community, I was like, holy fuck balls, everyone's got a dope story. And at that time, everyone was like doing backyard gun videos, so I kind of applied what I'd learned. And I produce. I don't know if you guys know like FPS Russia. Like, hello, my friends. This is FPS Russia.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Today we have the AK-47. Like, he's actually like the son of a chicken farmer in Georgia. I made 6 or 7 of his videos. Like all of these gun dudes, I've had some relationship with, in terms of, hey, let's craft this friggin' influencer space. But it was really just content creation space for the tactical community.
And when did you and when did you pick up your 16 million, 7 million subscribers? Holy cow.
This dude is huge, man. We did a product a collaboration with that movie Olympus Has Fallen. It's like he was getting major budgets, dude. He was one of the first like OG big budget YouTubers.
And so when did your YouTube station hit 1 million subscribers?
I think it was 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But at that time, I kind of lost steam, and I really didn't want to do it all. But it had just cascaded. There's still some videos that I created like 5 years ago that all of a sudden spike in views because somebody discovered it.
Right. So there was a blend of, you really love this thing.
Yeah.
But you also were starting to feel the obligation to feed the beast. Like like your YouTube station was a baby. Feed me.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, man, managing all of these like alpha males. And dude, there's one time I went to SHOT Show with like a team of 40, and it was a Canadian sniper, a Krav Maga guy from North Carolina, Instructor Zero from Italy, this martial arts guy from Belgium. And it was just like, everyone was secretly talking, this guy's bullshit. Why will you believe in that stuff? And I was kind of like in the middle. I was just fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
Just exhausting trying to be like the alpha male whisperer and like trying to appease everybody's insecurities and be like, no, dude, you're the man. Don't worry.
It's funny you say that. I when I worked over at CrossFit Inc., it was my first experience being around. I was born and raised hyper liberal, hate the police, hate the military, and then I got immersed into the CrossFit world where it was a ton of first responders using that lifestyle methodology in order to stay prepared. And I quickly realized that I'm not a beta or an alpha. I'm an alpha tamer.
Yeah.
Like that was, I like the way you said it, alpha whisperer. Like my job is to navigate. I'm the guy who walks around and feeds the lions. And for some reason I can walk around in here and not get eaten.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not one of them.
Cool.
But I'm definitely not one of them.
Bro, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like I'm a pot smoking. Like I love the healing properties of magic mushrooms. I was like pure liberal before I went into this like gun world. It was funny because for a while it was like my dirty little secret. Everyone's like drinking lib tears, and I'm like, I think I'm still liberal. I'm running one of the biggest gun channels in the world. But then, I mean, they're so misrepresented, man. It's like Yosemite Sam is like every American gun owner. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's what the
left wants you to believe.
Yeah, and that's what I was fed. Like I thought everybody from the South was like not that smart, and every soldier and cop were like this way, and it was just like the world was revealed to me in my world travel and in meeting extraordinary human beings who do some fucking really cool stuff, man.
And you're the Filipino guy that went into the the tall white man world.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I went on a safari with like 2 rich white dudes, and it was a blast. Yeah, I was making fun of them. I'm like, hey, you guys are the endangered species now. Like, you get a single white male, you guys can't say nothing, bro. And I was like,
I like that show that you did your co-host is a black guy, and
Mm.
you guys are talking about the possibilities of what if Will Smith was white, or what if Chris Rock was white, or what if one
Yeah.
of them was a woman, or what if one of them was transgender, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever those people are that cut their penises off. I just love that honesty in the discussion. It needs to be had more, and
Yeah.
it's said with no spite or hate.
No.
But unfortunately, that's the only place where it is important to
Yeah.
have someone with the color of their skin. Your skin fucking doesn't matter except for your relationship with the sun. But in those discussions, the fact that it's you and a black guy having it,
Yeah.
it's like, unfortunately, we need that. This country needs that so fucking bad from strong black people right now. The same reason why we need from obese people to speak up, like, hey, they're fucking lying to you. This sucks.
Yeah.
Like we need those brave people to stand up and be like, it's not the way it is.
No, I agree. And this was the context, which I think is really important. It was a gas station assault, and it was a white woman being assaulted by a black male.
Right.
And so my question was, is there something to be considered with this fear of appearing to be racist versus the nuances of managing our safety in that kind of environment? Right? Like if a black guy was walking behind me and I cross the sidewalk, like that's been the subject of comedic satire. Am I racist? Right? And how does that play into my self-defense protocols? Right? And so we just had an honest discussion about it, and some people were like, oh, you have to make this about race. I'm like, no, I just think that it's a factor and we should talk about it.
Oh, hey, dude, it's been a topic on this show ad nauseum. My fans the viewers probably fucking hate it by now, but it's for sure a factor. There's people who don't cross the street when they should because they don't want to be judged for being racist.
Yeah.
Listen, if you see 3 boys walking at you, I don't care what color they are, and they have their pants sagging and they're talking loud and they're 17 years old and you can tell they're a little belligerent, cross the fucking street, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Cross the fucking street. They're just boys. Stay away from young men. I mean,
yeah,
as a default.
Yeah. At the very least, it'll give you some information once you cross what happens.
Right.
But yeah.
I was walking down this old highway that I live on, and it was in the middle. It was like at 6 a.m. Sun had just come up, and I was walking home, and there was a black guy walking towards me, and he crossed the street away from me to the other side. There's nowhere to stand on that side. There's no sidewalk on either side, but my side at least had the shoulder. He crossed to the danger side, and I'm thinking to myself, and I've heard my friends who are black tell me this story a million times. Well, that person crossed the street to avoid me. No, you told yourself that story. And it doesn't matter whether that story is true or not. You told yourself that fucking story. And it's like, who would you be without that thought? Like, just fucking hit the reset switch on that. Like, it's not doing any of us favor. I thought about crossing the street to his side just to fuck with them.
That would have been awesome. You know, I like Byron Rogers is a big black dude. He's one of my homies.
Yeah.
And same for, Kenny Big B Jr. People you should really look up. But they're like highly intelligent, big, muscular, combative dudes, and they tell me stuff like they need to go out of their way to disarm people and to appear non-threatening because they know that's the perception that people have of them.
Right.
So maybe,
the same way a short little guy postures up to try to be tough.
Right.
Because the perception of when you watch me walk in the room is that I'm a little old man.
Right. And so I thought that was cool, but also unfortunate,
Really, though?
That's Byron Rogers.
Yeah. Paul, let's explore that though for a second.
Sure.
Really,
sure.
like, if you're 6'4" and you're a man, life is not fair, and that's one of the things you've been dealt with. Like, hey, you're going to have to, if you want people to like, you don't have to, but one of the roles you might play is to disarm people.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. Life isn't fair, right?
I'm not saying that's not the way it is. It is the way it is. Absolutely.
Right.
Life isn't fair.
Yeah,
know?
and I'm staying away from anyone who,
Yeah.
and if I'm even suspicious at all of someone who's 6'4" and has an insane body like that dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch to make his. If he starts talking to himself, me and my family are leaving. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's true. It's true.
it's like, and so
Right,
if he wants
right.
to, if he looks over and smiles at me and gives me a nod,
Right.
it's so easy. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it, man. No.
Right? There's that piece of especially once you have kids, of self-preservation, safety.
I
So
agree.
you get these you start getting paid gigs, you start building obviously an amazing reputation, and you start feeding the YouTube station. And when does your I don't even know exactly what it is you do, what your discipline is. I mean, obviously it's the Filipino martial arts, but when do you realize if you're already in this space, you have to show some crazy humility to pick up a new skill that you're obviously going to suck at? And when do you do that, and why do you do that? Like, are you around all these tough guys and you're like, yeah, I want to learn some of their shit? Like, if you hung around all Spanish dudes, you'd be like, I'm learning Spanish.
It was something like that. But there was also like, it was a buffet, right? Like, was I gonna learn pistol craft? Was I gonna learn jujitsu or Krav Maga? Am I gonna learn precision shooting? What am I gonna learn? And then I found myself in the Philippines, in my homeland, in this Filipino martial arts conference. And the last day of the conference is always full contact stick sparring.
What were you doing there? What capacity were you at the conference?
I was documenting it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was making like tutorial videos for this guy, Jared Wihungi, from it's called the PTTA, the Pikiti Tertia Tactical Association. And it's funny, he's like the founder of this Pikiti Tertia Tactical Association. Pikiti Tertia is a Filipino martial art, but this dude, his mom is a Caucasian lady from Texas, and his dad is Maori from New Zealand. And he lives in Utah, and he's a Mormon. Yeah, but he's a bad dude. This dude, right? Yeah. He actually, on a faith-based mission, lived in the Philippines for 2 years. That's where he picked it up. He learned
faith-based mission, meaning spreading the word of God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He learned like 4 Philippine dialects. Like, he speaks more Filipino languages than me. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah. But anyway, I was there documenting him, and I knew that like the last day was full contact stick sparring. This is when the guys who had been training all week and, were trying to rank up in this system would have to prove themselves. Like, they fight. You have to go 5 fights in a row to get graded in the higher levels. I was like, I'm going to try this, man. I'd been this hypothetical warrior, just observing and like learning philosophies and concepts. I want to see if I can hit a dude with a stick. And I did. I ended up fighting somebody quite high ranking who had like a world championship under his belt in stick fighting, right? I freaking hit him. I hit him. Like, he destroyed me, bro. Like, I was welted up. But I hit him. I hit him more than once, and I hit him good. So I was like, what the
was this formal? Was it a formal combat with like people watching, or you were just like, hey, can I try this?
No,
with you?
it's kind of cool, man, because there's like a circle of people around you. You're at the beach. You're like, there are these palm trees, and then these people surrounding 2 combatants just hit each other with a stick.
And so you have your camera gear there. You have your camera gear there, and like you put your camera gear down, and you're like, hey, can I try?
Yeah.
You're fucking nuts.
That's exactly what I did, dude. And it was freaking amazing. And then I was like near tears. I'm like, it was so primal. It was the thing that I'd been doing ever since I was a kid. Like, I have been picking up sticks and trying to hit my friends with it while my other friends watched.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I didn't feel any pain during the match. It hurt a whole lot after. Yeah, like this stuff.
Yeah, this shit's crazy. I watched some of these clips like 20 times each.
Yeah, man. And it's just, look at that. It's so, it's not realistic, right? Like I should say it isn't a probable reality that you're going to have a stick when you're attacked, but the skills that you develop as far as timing and distance management and just strategy and staying cool under pressure is amazing. So yeah, I jumped in, got my ass kicked, and I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to find a freaking way to get good fast, because I'm already old. Some people have been doing this for like 15, 20 years, and I want to smash those guys. So I came up with a process, man, and it worked.
Your own process.
Yeah.
You developed
Yeah.
your own like kind of curriculum. You're like, hey, this is
Yes.
I know from
And
all the different ways you saw people train your whole life. You're like,
Yep.
okay, I'm going to put these.
Yep. I took it from the firearms world. I took it from from tennis, from basketball.
Oh yeah, I saw your tennis in your triangle demo.
Yeah.
You
Like
at one point you have a tennis
footwork
racket.
for football. It's and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then people would like show me all of these, like, you got to do this and do this and do that and do that. And I'm like, I got to do it in that order. Like those were like 4 things. You were trying to make me like memorize a 40 count sequence of just 4 things. How about I just work on those 4 things in isolation, get good at those 4 things, and then have some footwork to back it up, and then I can jump into tactics right away. And that's what people who study bladed arts or, you know, blunt weapons fighting, whether it's, you know, Irish stick fighting. This is a rich culture, by the way. There's like a ton of edged weapons cultures, from the Caribbean to obviously Europe, Southeast Asia, everywhere. People learn how to fight with sharp things and blunt things. And I found all these commonalities. And then I just kept sparring. I kept fighting, like put on a mask, put on gloves, and just kept trying to hit somebody. And because I'm a content creator, this is kind of like my big secret, right? I have footage of my performances, so I know where I sucked. I know how I got hit, and I would just reverse engineer crap from there. I'm like, I'm not going to get hit by that strike in that way anymore, and this is how I'm going to craft the drills to make me better at that. And because I didn't subscribe to all the dogma and the tradition and okay, Grandmaster, you're correct, I can't possibly be right about this question that I have. I didn't have any of that holding me down. So it was all like reviewing my footage of me sucking at stick fighting and like these full contact, you know, quote, knife fights with like aluminum trainers. I would reverse engineer it, and I didn't have this idea that I couldn't create my own drills. I just created my own drills and I just did them. And then I would fight again. And that's how I got good fast.
When you go up against, I'm guessing that there's a traditional teaching of this, and when they see you, do they, you know how there's UFC fighters that are just crazy unorthodox, like you can't figure, like Dominic Cruz, like he's like a praying mantis, the way he like, you know, like a praying mantis who's like pretending to be a leaf or a stick. He's like doing some shit out there like that, and you can't figure out what's going on. When people see you with your self-developed protocol to get better, do they see that in you? Like, does a trained eye look at you and be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. I'm gonna set humility aside, because I am quite proud of the journey that I've
yeah, you should be, dude. It's crazy. Your content's crazy.
Thank you, man. But yeah, my footwork has been compared to Dominic Cruz. Obviously not Dominic Cruz. Like, I'm not an elite level athlete, but in the same spirit, right? I'm trying to do what he's trying to do, earning these angles and masking my true range.
Earn angles
and yeah, there's a lot of that, masking your true range, especially in edged weapons fighting. You can't do it when your tools are just your hands. You can, right? Body angling and deceptive footwork, lunging. But with weapons, you can really hide your true range.
There's more to unfold, I guess, is the way I'm thinking of it. You have it.
Yeah.
There's more to like open.
Yeah.
Up.
Like if I'm fighting like this for a while, and then now I'm in this orientation, my weapons. Yeah. Like this. If you look at my lead foot, tap ones. So I'm conditioning my guy to think, and then boom, it doesn't land. It lunges straight to his face, kind of thing. Stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to do these silly drills where I'm hopping on one foot and then lunging. that kind of crap. But yeah, people see this mishmash because my base is this art called Pikiti Tertia, which is one of the most like it's just pure drama and politics and mysticism and all this crap. But its footwork is awesome and it's a very aggressive style of Filipino martial arts. There's hundreds. So yeah, I draw on all of these experiences from different, masters and subject matter experts and students. And I just take what fits the chassis that I've built. And so when I'm fighting somebody from one system, I'll just present a style that they're unfamiliar with. And at least for that engagement, I can dominate because it's unfamiliar to them. Whereas I kind of know after a few seconds what he's up to.
I have a friend who's big into shooting, like really big into shooting, teaches his own shooting classes, holds shooting competitions. And he says he goes to these competitions. He's a Mexican dude, and it's him and 500 Filipino dudes.
Yeah, shooting is big in the Filipino community, man.
Why is that? Is there a reason for that? What the culture is there that they've taken up? I think the best shooter in the United States is a Filipino guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of JJ Racaza, I think maybe.
Yeah. I think I've heard that, and my friend referred to him as JJ. Yeah.
I think culturally in the Philippines, it's
sorry. Yeah, his name's Dave. Stop, chill. Yeah,
Dave Castro.
Dave Castro. Yeah.
I guess I can cite a few reasons. I know in the Philippines it's become kind of an elitist sport because it's like $1 a bullet, and if you can afford to do that, it's kind of a status symbol.
For sure. Fuck, it's a status symbol here.
Yeah, right. But also it's guns, man. Filipinos are kind of they're here's another thing that I learned in traveling a lot in the American South is like rednecks and Filipinos have a lot in common, bro. We love the same things, man. And so shooting is one of them. It's a force multiplier. So even for a short individual, they can compete. It's accessibly competitive, just like stick fighting. A lot of people think it's like I can never do that. It's like, no, dude, you don't even need cardio for stick fighting if you got good tactics.
When you were a kid, were guns big in the Philippines, or is it something new? This embracing of the Filipinos
owning a gun was a big thing. I shot somebody in the face with a real gun before when I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. Shot him in the face. My dad was running for office, and then I found a gun under his seat, and then I just shot it at some trees, and I shot a guy in the face.
Did he live?
Yeah, he lived. My dad had to pay a lot of money, though, but yeah, he lived.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I just throw that out there. By the way, I shot somebody in the face.
God, that must have been traumatic for you as a kid. Was he an aggressor, or it was just a complete accident?
No, I just shot at some trees, bro. I didn't even know I hit somebody in the face. So I'm completely detached from any trauma from that. Other than that's like a story my family tells. I shot somebody in the face.
Wow.
Yeah.
How far away was he? Like in the forest?
Okay. Remember, I was talking about the rural area. I was there. I was in my grandparents' province, where my dad was, trying to run for like a local political office there, and he had the flyers, and yeah, I don't know.
Kenneth is asking if it's a ricochet.
Guys, I don't know. Stop asking me about the dude I shot in the face. It's not
one bullet, one kill. One bullet, one kill.
It's not as cool as I would hope it to be.
Jim D, he's like Dick Cheney.
Better.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but it was it's cool upbringing, man.
How did you get red pilled? How did you finally? What happened that you made? You obviously we opened up talking about the importance of logic and questioning.
Yes, sir.
But how did you realize that? Oh shit! My whole thinking process has been wrong.
It was a gradual process of spending.
Oh, sorry. One quick question: did his dad win the election? Great question. Sorry, Chris. That's a great question. No,
he did not win the election. No.
Hey,
No,
did
he
that
did
fuck
not.
up his election? Like, oh, we're not voting for this dude. His
I
kid
don't
shot.
know, man.
Oh,
I don't
oh.
know. Maybe his campaign just sucked.
Oh.
Again, it's not as cool a story as I'd like to maybe one day lie about it. But sorry, when did I get
Oh,
red pill?
yeah. You said it was
Yeah.
a slow process.
Yeah, it was a series of drinking with I guess soldiers of different varieties of doing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some politicians and mostly dudes with guns that do stuff for government. Um it was just a slow revelation of like crap that I would have never known, that I don't have access to. Um you know, how intelligence is gathered, but beyond that, where do we choose to begin gathering intelligence to? Like, who are those people who make those decisions? What were, you know what I mean? And so even these like 3-letter agencies have um
Agendas.
unwashed laundry that you just never, you just don't. It's crazy, right? So it was. So I was in the Philippines. I was in Poland. Um, you know, I just, these guys are everywhere. Where we have a few drinks and we make sure that there's no cameras rolling, and then I just get to kind of get glimpses of the shenanigans happening in the world. And I was never like, I'm gonna dig into it now. I'm gonna find out where this U.S. money is going to in the Ukraine. It was just like, no, that's fucked. No, we're not gonna know. Like,
Right.
we're not gonna fucking know. And so that just happened constantly. And I was just like, okay, well, fuck it. It's too much to care about.
When you start seeing that, like, I guess you obviously in that space, there are some big themes: personal accountability, personal responsibility, right? Like, if someone calls me fat, did they really hurt me, or is that my personal responsibility to,
Right.
it's me. I holy shit, I can choose whether that hurts my feelings or not. If I'm a master of my own mind, and you
Yeah.
start really taking it, does it open up any other weird doors for you? Like, every 20th guy who wakes up is like, I wonder if the earth is flat. I wonder if they really went to the moon. Because once you start down this, it's not once you open your mind.
Yeah.
I think most people don't get red pilled or open their mind. There's a great line in the Matrix that talks about it. They're just not prepared. They're so fucking scared.
Yeah.
Because it can quickly run wild in your brain, and all your shit can unravel, when really you're just trying to get a job and put food on your table and feed your daughter.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people feel like they have to do something about it. I don't care about anything at all. And this is the thing. We're made to care about and this and that. We're kind of groomed to be upset about a gorilla who got killed or a lion.
Like in a
who
zoo
did-
we've never been to. We don't even know if the zoo exists.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Harambe.
Right, exactly. There's so many things that we are fed and are expected to care about for a beef. Like, there's so much outrage right now. And it's like, just wait a week. They're not going to be outraged about that thing anymore. And so when I say I don't care about anything, it's actually, because I do psychedelics, and this is kind of like where the weird hippie stuff comes in. I do believe in some things, like the collective, the oneness of it all. Like, and so it's impossible for me to be outraged about, a celebrity who died and then compare that to, 10 Kenyan kindergarten students who got shot, to an accident that happened here, to this mine exploding, to child workers in China. There's so many things that could cause us to just feel pain, but circumventing that, it's like, these are shared experiences. We're all one. And so I just choose not to. I'm not compelled to display to the world how much I care about the thing that we're supposed to care about. And so that comes across the wrong way. People just think I don't care. It's not that. It's just that I'm not going to play this game where I'm outraged that Andrew Tate said this and that Kanye said that. I'm just like, I don't find it all interesting. It's just a fucking show. And so, and that goes across the board. I don't know what happens in cobalt mines and and in the space
So
program.
you still process it all.
Yeah.
It seems like you're up to date on everything, but I guess as Lao Tzu would say, you stay in the center of the circle.
Yeah. I mean,
And you observe it and watch it.
maybe that's perhaps that's one way to look at it. I again, this profound idea that we are all one,
Yeah.
right? Like my left toe isn't going to care that my right toe hurts.
Right.
It's not going to be outraged and post something about, injustices to right toes. This is how I see things, man, and
I think you're closer to the truth than most. That I always think about this, that caring comes from the fact that you're born and your parents name you Paul, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to keep this semblance of this character together.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole thing is just a fucking facade of trying to keep this avatar together as you move around on the planet, but eventually it's just turning to dust anyway.
Yeah, we can enjoy it. I think people, the psychology of ownership. I don't know if you seem like a guy who reads. I don't really read a lot, but it's a book.
Audiobooks. I do audiobooks.
I should start getting into that. Anyway,
you'll love it. You got to listen to at least a little bit. You got to promise me listen to a little bit at Longest Kill. The guy speaks in a British accent. It's so enjoyable. It's so enjoyable. Yeah.
To quote Bart Simpson, I can't promise to try, but I'll try to try.
Okay. Awesome. Did he really say that?
Yeah, he did.
It's so good.
What was I going to say?
You were going to talk about a book.
Oh yeah, it's a book called Predictably Irrational. It's probably one of the books that changed me a lot, and I actually read it. Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, and it's just getting a glimpse into understanding our motivations and why we feel the way we feel. And there's this whole thing about the psychology of ownership. Yeah, the hidden forces that shape our decisions. Great friggin' book, man.
I'm on it.
Yeah. But yeah, this whole psychology of ownership, that we tend to overvalue things that we invest time in and that we love. So if you do jujitsu, you're going to be like, jujitsu is the shit. It's everything. Right. And tying into identity politics, where, again, let's keep it base, right? But like if I'm a Filipino martial artist and somebody questions a technique that I show, it feels like an attack on my character because I've associated the thing I do with who I am, right? If somebody says, hey man, your podcast sucks and all you had in your life was your podcast, or if somebody goes, hey man, your audio could use a bit of work, even something as simple as that, or it's like, hey, I don't like your background. It feels like an attack on your character and yourself. And this is a lot of the firearms world, a lot of the martial arts world, where if you question something, you're questioning somebody's integrity. You call me a liar, You
put 30 years into your martial arts, and then someone says something about it, and you've conflated the idea between who you are and this martial art is, and it hurts.
It hurts a lot.
Yeah,
it hurts them a lot. Yeah,
and that's just all ego, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it's ego. Yeah, it's like this misplaced value system, and it's hard. Like
it is hard.
Yeah, like if you're a cowboy, you're a cowboy. Like maybe you also play violin. There's certain, and
that's why the word racist is so powerful. No one wants to be called it,
right.
And they're even willing to become racist to avoid being called a racist. We can see half this country would rather be racist than be called a racist. They're so scared of it. The term, right? Because it would hurt. It's scary.
Yeah, and there's this Jewish comedian who talks about like racist jokes. Ari Shafir.
Yeah,
one of Joe Rogan's friends.
Yeah,
and he's just like, he's offended. He's not offended by racist jokes. He's just offended by unoriginal racist jokes. So anyway, there's so much nuance, right? But like,
Yeah.
I think I can go. Yeah, there's some racist jokes that are kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure.
think-
A lot of them.
Right? Or sexist jokes.
Right. Very funny genre too. I agree.
I think like stand-up comedy, I do believe it should be a protected art form. There's nothing out of bounds. And again, that's another one of those things where fuck, you can't say that. Anyway, the world's weird, dude.
Yeah, it is weird. It's fun though. I really like your attitude, because that's what I think I'm doing that too. I think sometimes I bring up a lot of crazy stuff on here, and sometimes when I'm alone, I'm like, am I fueling the fire, or am I helping people process? Because I don't want to fuel the fire. I like bringing up the subjects, but at the end of the day, none of it really matters to me. I just want to be outside picking barefoot with my kids in the garden, picking persimmons and eating them.
That's so good. It's easier
Right?
for me because I got the right skin color passport to tell all sorts of wacky stuff, and I won't get attacked or canceled.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hey. Plus, I grew up in Toronto, in a super multicultural environment.
Have you ever testified in court? Sorry, go ahead.
I've never testified.
You haven't testified in court as an expert? I was thinking the other day, I bet you this guy's testified in court as an expert.
No, I'd probably deny the opportunity to do it. Yeah. Even though that's kind of like a badge of honor for people who teach edge weapons.
Like I was picturing you being a case where it's like, hey man, this guy hit him with a stick and he's a highly profane professional with a stick. And then then he's like, no, I'm not. I've never picked up a stick. And then they show you the video and you're like, no, I just made that story up in my head. Okay, fine.
Yeah. No. But people who get to do that like to tell people they've done that.
You brought up something very interesting on one of the podcasts you were on about the Second Amendment.
Okay.
And I had never heard of it like this. You basically said that, as I'm paraphrasing, that since we're human, we're inherently protectors. That's just part and parcel of who we are. It's in our DNA, whether we're protecting ourselves, our kids, our property, but we're protectors. It's who we are. It's for lack of a better phrase, God made us as all protectors of some sort. Everyone has a little bit of protector in them. They're trying to protect their own life. And I thought, wow, I wonder if the people who wrote the Second Amendment realized that it goes that deep.
So I'm a Canadian, right? And to have an opinion about the Second Amendment, like whenever my Canadian friends talk about American gun laws, I just tell them, yo, just shut the fuck up, man. Like, you have no idea. You live in Markham, you live in Toronto, you have no idea, right? So shut up about the Second Amendment. And so I take that advice, right? But I'm a secret supporter. But foundationally, and this is where I kind of found my core belief system as far as wanting to support Second Amendment supporters, is that it is a biological imperative to self-preserve. And so roses have thorns because of the kind of predators in their environment. So the tools for protection ought to be relative to the threat level. So whether that's camouflage, thorns, guns, knives,
Dogs,
fangs, claws, right? You can't strip human beings from this. We can say God-given right, but it's a natural law. It's a natural right to have defense mechanisms against threats relative to the environment. And if your environment has guns, stripping citizens of their right to own guns is inhumane. So, and that goes across the board.
Do you think that things played out in the last 2 years differently in the United States because we had gun rights, as opposed to what we saw happen more I feel like what we saw happen in Canada or in Australia?
I don't know. And can I ask you to be?
More specific?
Yeah.
So in Idaho, they didn't do any COVID games.
Okay.
Zero. I think that was the only state. They didn't do any COVID games. They didn't do the mask mandates. They didn't do shit, right?
Wow.
In China, they fucking, according to what I saw, they fucking welded door shuts on people's apartment building complexes.
Yeah.
And so here you have a society that's completely disarmed. I'm giving the two ends of the spectrum, where you have no ability to fight back, right? Whereas in Idaho, I don't know what it is. Maybe Caleb can look it up, but I'm guessing the average person there owns 6 guns. And then there's these nuances, of Canada, Australia, what we saw going on in Europe, where the citizens were just one of the correlates is that the fact that the government in those places owns all the guns. Well, I guess not in Canada, but the government does pay, because it's closer to socialism there than it is, I think, in the United States. People are more susceptible to saying yes, dad, And so I've been wondering that a lot about, hey, I wonder if that's because we have fucking, I don't know what it is, 8 million guns. And I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that during World War II, when the Japanese were thinking about invading the United States, what stopped them was the fact that the citizenry here was armed. In Idaho, an estimated 137,000 guns were sold from January through July of 2022.
Damn.
That's just in 6 months or something. 78.6 firearm sales for every 1,000 people. That's just in those 6 months. I'm gonna have to guess everyone there. There's more guns there than people.
That's pretty awesome. It's probably like 3 guys with a bunker.
Right.
Padding the average.
And so that's what I meant. Like, do you think that there is it's basically like a scale? Do you think that it or no?
No, I think there's some correlation between like gun ownership and vaccine resistance, maybe.
Sure, for sure there.
Right. And
right.
So, but doesn't mean it's causation. Can you guys look up like what's the vaccination rate for the United States? Like what percentage? Because in Canada it's ridiculous, like 98 or something, 96 or something crazy like that.
Well, Paul, do you want to know 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, 4 shot, 5 shot?
Hey, I know. What is fully vaccinated? Oh God, are we talking about COVID and vaccines?
I did see something about Los Angeles where they're really concerned because only 7% of the people have the 5th booster or some shit. Okay, at least 262 million people, or 79% of the population. Oh shit!
See that? Okay, right, dude. So I don't know if it has anything to do with.
Oh my God! I wonder if those people are scared now.
No, it was scary. I mean, I think it was scary even for the most logical, well-informed person. They have to admit to some, not fearful, but concern. Because
there's just so much evidence coming out now.
Yeah,
that you probably made the wrong choice.
Yeah,
and I would be scared if I let my kids get the vaccine, I'd be scared right now for them, so, especially if they were in sports.
Yeah. Now my kids aren't, but I am. Well, it's useless now.
How did you make it so your kids weren't?
I just did. I mean,
that's got to be.
There's a lot of pressure, bro. And
my kids can't go to school.
Yeah. It was rough, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Family, parents, school boards. Yeah.
You and your wife were on the same page?
Yeah, I was sort of the lead Google researcher at the time. I did my research. No, but as much information as we can access. I think the term research is kind of.
Allison, he's in Toronto. So you and your wife were on the same page, because that could fuck a marriage up.
Yeah.
They don't have states in Canada.
Provinces. No. I'm in Ontario.
I know. I'm just fucking with her. She's probably like 10. People jump in the chat and they can be like 10 or 20, like an hour behind or 30 minutes behind. So she maybe didn't even hear.
Yeah.
No, I don't ask.
got-
Everyone's welcome on the show. Vaccinated, unvaccinated, heathens, Satan's welcome on the show. Everyone's welcome on the show. I want to hear everyone's perspective.
But I was one of those dudes. I got vaccinated. I got my 2 shots because otherwise I couldn't travel to the United States. I couldn't make videos. So it was one of those. I kind of felt defeated. I kind of felt like, oh, all right, well, 'tis the game.
Did you think about maybe asking the doctor if he would shoot it on the floor?
No, I know some people who did though. It was just,
yeah.
and I was the first in my family to do it.
Yeah, that shit so many people. I mean, I'm in the hive, and I can only imagine what the vaccination rate is in my town, and I guarantee you that I know a bunch of people where it ripped their families apart.
Yeah, my mom canceled Christmas parties this year, and all the little kids and cousins were all very disappointed because
this year,
yeah, because somebody was exposed to it was a close contact to a known COVID. My mom's very fearful. She's very scared, bro. She's all CNN, like
that'll do it to you.
She just bought it, and she's very, very scared. And it's unfortunate, and it's almost to the point where
I have family like that.
Yeah, I'm. You can't have a discussion. Logic won't win here, and so you might as well keep the peace with moms. You know.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Keep the peace with your family if you can.
Yeah. It ripped a lot of people apart for sure.
Corey Leonard, I have plenty in my cabinet at home, enough to vaccinate everyone in this chat. Very generous of you, Corey.
I think they're talking about bourbon.
Okay.
Bye,
guys.
On just completely leaving the world of things like that. When I guess there's I guess the protocol if there's dangers to all, is de-escalation always the first? If there's a checklist of things when there's problems, always like run or de-escalate, vacate and de-escalate.
Yeah.
Like you're at the roller rink and a fight breaks out. I mean, I know it's a
sure. Yeah, avoidance, not being there, blah blah blah. But yeah, de-escalation for sure. Disarming.
And then yet there's jobs where you can't do that, right? I mean, like if me and you are in the roller rink and a fight breaks out and we have our family by the door, we can just walk outside and get in our car and drive away. But if you're a cop, then there's professions where you have to escalate. You have to escalate, right?
Yeah, this is really interesting. First, there's a law enforcement dude who got this into my head. His name is Chad Lyman. He runs police jiu-jitsu. You ought to get him on your podcast.
Tell me, what's his name?
Chad Lyman.
I have no idea how any cop doesn't take jiu-jitsu. I have no idea. How could you be a cop and not be a fucking gray or whatever? Try to at least get your what is it for adults? Blue belt? At least get your blue belt.
Just honestly, 3 months in a solid jiu-jitsu academy, you can probably handle yourself against 90% of the population. So much of jiu-jitsu is like understanding that sometimes our natural intuition gets us into trouble, you know. But damn it, I lost my train of thought.
This guy Chad
Lyman.
Yeah.
And about de-escalation. A lot of people confuse de-escalation as only being a verbal thing. Force is a form of de-escalation. And he often says that inefficient use of force looks like excessive use of force. So when a cop doesn't know how to use a baton properly, he's inefficient with it. It can look like excessive use of force. If he doesn't know how to, detain a resistive subject, he's going to want to punch the shit out of that dude or shoot him. So inefficient use of force looks like excessive use of force, and jiu-jitsu for cops ought to be mandated, in my opinion.
Mandated.
And he runs. Yeah, the thing, man, like I've run or I've organized so many different seminars or co-organized, and we're like, hey, if you're a law enforcement dude in the area, right, you're a veteran, you can come for free. No cops show up. And if any cops show up, it's the guy that doesn't need that training because he trains all the time anyway.
Right.
cops don't show up, and the cops who do show up, sometimes they're vilified as somebody who's learning how to kill better. It's like we're kind of villainizing somebody who's spending their own money to upscale their training so that they can better do their jobs. And so it should be mandated, or at least there should be, I don't know. I don't want to provide sort of like these like surface level solutions without a plan. But if cops who trained in jiu-jitsu or went to the gym to work on their grip strength, they should be compensated for that by the department.
You proposed it like this, which was amazing to me. I had never thought of it like this, but, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically you have a cop out there, and if he's got this tool belt on and it has a gun and a taser on it, those are the only tools he has. And so if he gets in danger, those are going to, in the checklist of tools he has to address the danger, he's going to go for one of those. But if you teach them jiu-jitsu or footwork, all of a sudden they have another tool that's less deadly that they can use with the danger, and then everyone is safer. The public doesn't have to worry about a gun being out. And I was like, holy shit, I never even thought of it like that. You want to give them tools that allow them to mitigate their use of deadly force.
Yeah, use of force is not like black and white, but if they're undertrained, it's gonna be. What's that saying? You know, if all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. And again, a lot of police departments are reactionary. Like it would take a tragedy, you know, a cop getting killed or a civilian getting killed to go, we need to, put some changes in. And it's like, man, we couldn't have been proactive about this. That's how it works, right? Like budget allocation is it's great. It's crazy, man. But yeah, every cop should be mandated to have at least, some training in jiu-jitsu or I don't know. They're touching hands all the time. So they should know how to navigate that.
When you do mushrooms or any psychedelics, do you ever get concerned that in that window of 24 or 48 hours that your kids might need you and that you wouldn't be able to like be prepared to help them? Like it's something as simple as they break their arm and you have to drive them to the hospital or something.
Yeah, no, I don't do it recreationally. I make time for it, and I prepare for it. So yeah.
So that's something you have to, but to set your mind free from that has to be set with your wife or something.
Yeah.
That issue has to be contained. You have to be 100% certain that they're safe.
Yeah, and I don't do it all the time. Like I've had maybe, if I can count, 3 heroic journeys where I'm unfit to defend myself if I had to. So yeah, no, it's not something I do recreationally, but I do train drunk a lot.
You do?
Yeah.
Just because that could be because
Purposeful.
You drink too much, or because that could be.
By the way, I should say a lot, but I think.
But it's one of the things you test. Hey, here's 1 shot of whiskey. This is what it's like. Here's 2 shots.
Yeah, because I do enjoy drinking in social environments. So yeah, I think it's important. Like if you drink, you should know where your capabilities degrade. And if you film it, then it's irrefutable proof that, bro, you sucked. Like can't have that many. I thought I did well.
What's your what projects are you working on? What's your future look like? If are you done taking your break in the tactical space? Are you going back to it? Are you what are your plans for the next year? Do you have a plan?
Yeah, I've sort of transitioned from, the whole YouTube stuff to creating online tutorial content. So it falls in line with content creation. It falls in line with me finding subject matter experts that I like and want to work with. And I want to present the material in a way that's authentic to who they are. Even though it's super saturated, like everybody's got a friggin', tutorial.
How to get out of a headlock.
Yeah, but I like to think that I infuse a bit of my my storytelling and creativity even in the most mundane kind of basic stuff. It was one of the things I did early that I think allowed me to stand out. When a holster company wanted me to make a video promotion for their holster, it was about how the instructor used it and what it meant to them, even though the tutorial may just be a simple draw stroke and presentation. There's always like a layer of who the presenter is in connection to what they're actually presenting beyond just, kind of a product placement. But that's what I'm doing, dude. I'm making online tutorial courses for super dope instructors and typically people who don't feel comfortable doing social media. People who like, fuck that, I don't want to do that.
Oh, for their site, not for your site.
No, for other people.
Wow.
That's what I've been doing. I'm kind of like a monument builder in that regard.
That's brave to do that, especially since you have that amazing YouTube channel with so many subscribers, and you could probably just kick your boots up and just keep pumping that thing and spending time with your kids. You're pushing forward.
I get bored, man. I need to be challenged, dude. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. Great, Paul. Great to meet you. I'm for sure going to reach out to Chad and from Police BJJ, and I'm gonna check out that book, Predictability.
Predictably
what's the guy's
Irrational.
name? Ariely.
Dan
Ariely. Yeah.
Predictably Irrational. You're gonna love it, man. It's gonna explain a whole lot of things.
Thank you. Almost 2 hours of your time. You the man. I haven't interviewed anyone like you, and who's such a Renaissance man in this world, and I really appreciate your insights and everything you shared. It's great. It adds great value to the show.
Thank you so much. Like I knew nothing about you guys. I kind of just jumped in, but it was a pleasure. Pleasure to know you humans exist, man. I'm gonna do a little bit of digging and see what podcast I've gotten myself into, but it was a pleasure. It was really
awesome,
cool
brother.
talking. And thank you. Like, look at all these comments. Sorry, I wasn't able to like really address them, but thanks to your community, man. It seems like you're kind of building something.
It's a great crew. We come on every morning, 7 a.m. It's like
really?
we bring on, we go live every morning. We've had everyone on from like, we had Patrick Bet-David on, we had Kayla Harrison on, Volkanovski's been on the show. So I dabble over there. Lots of CrossFit athletes, people who've cured themselves of cancer. I just basically go anywhere, but I saw you on Instagram and I saw that thing with your daughter.
Yeah.
And I spend all my time that I'm not podcasting. I spend every second with my kids. And so I saw that and I'm like, man, I got to meet this dude.
That is so cool, man. Right on. Yeah. I like what you're doing, man. That's what a blessed existence to get to be able to do that.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you're ever in the Santa Cruz area, you have my number. I'd love to hang out. And I don't know about the fighting part, but I like to do the getting drunk part.
Let's do knife play. Yeah, the whole knife.
Oh, that would be great. That would be a great video. These guys would love to see me do some knife play. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're in California, please hit me up.
All right, brother. Thank you. Sevan.
Yep. Cheers.
All right. Peace, guys. Thank you very much.
Later, brother. Got that Calderon vibe, right?
Definitely.
Seen so much, met so many people. Yeah, drunk knife fight. I want to go to Santa Cruz just to see if Sevan would answer when I hit him up. I'm 50-50 when people come to town.
Leave you on red.
Well, yeah, it's not that it's usually just a timing thing. Like I like meeting people. This guy has a crazy Instagram account. It's really good.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's like an original YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like as OG as they get. He probably hates that term like I hate it.
Probably. It's probably why he's not doing it anymore.
It took me probably 2 hours yesterday to get through his Instagram, and I was moving fast.
He's got so much in there. Like
much.
Usually I can get to the bottom of somebody's Instagram by the end of the show, and I could not.
He kind of reminds me it took me a long time. He kind of reminds me of this isn't going to come out right. But basically, there's people in our space like the Buttery Bros or Craig Ritchie who they not only follow the scene, right? But they're like, you see them participate in it.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy's done. He's like really, really
Immersed himself in it.
Yeah, immersed himself in what they call, there was a term that they kept using, the protector class or the protector group. I bet you his wife's cool as shit.
Gotta be, right?
Dude, you know how hard it would be if you lived in Canada to not get your kids the vaccine? That would be fucking hard.
He's like the anti-Canadian Canadian.
Right.
Just crazy.
I wanted to tell him this story bunch of the kids in my kids jiu-jitsu class have gotten their gray belts, gray and white belts. There's 3 gray belts. It goes for kids, it goes white and then gray and white and then gray and black. And my kids had their white belt, and when they finished and got all, not Avi, but the other two, my 2 youngest ones, the 6-year-olds, when they got the 4 stripes on their white belt, they were supposed to go to gray and white, and they didn't. They made a new belt for them that no one else in the class had, and it was a white belt with a black stripe. The instructor just didn't think that they were ready for their gray and white. So now they're 6, and they can beat all the gray and white belts in the class.
Shit.
But they still have their white belts. And the instructors have explained to me what's going on, and it's totally fine. Everyone knows the instructors are so complimentary to them. They always say, hey, why are the youngest kids have the best technique? Why are the youngest, like they lay it on the big kids. They're like, how are these 2 the most focused, the beating you guys? Like, hey, come on guys, everyone needs to step up their game.
Why do you guys suck so bad? Yeah,
it's pretty cool, but it's cool. They do it in a loving way. It's cool. And my kids know that they've come home the last 3 days from jiu-jitsu, and they're like, we don't understand. So I pulled up this video of Nicky Rod at ADCC, not this last one, but the one before, where he goes up against Orlando Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, this is Nicky Rod. He's a blue belt. And this is Orlando Sanchez, and he's a black belt. So last night before they went to bed, they watched that match. They're like, that guy's only a blue belt and he beat a black belt. I'm like, yeah. So it was cool. It put it in perspective for him. Yeah, like, hey, just chill. It's all.
The belt doesn't really mean anything. It's what you do in the classes or in your competitions.
It's all gonna happen. And the instructors told me, they're like, hey, dude, what we really want to do is the next tournament they go to, when they're on the podium, we want to give them their gray belt. And I like that, because that will then encourage them to do more tournaments. They'll see like a connection between them, and they'll see it as a good thing. Jethro, hi Sevi, hi Caleb. Can it be Caleby too? Hi Sevi and Caleby. Wow, sorry I'm super late. Just finished coaching and cleaning the gym. Good on you. Yeah, how do they send their kids to school without it? Great question. Okay, tomorrow. Oh, I scheduled a live call-in show for tomorrow morning, Caleb.
So
what's tomorrow? Friday?
Yes. No, tomorrow's Saturday.
Already. I sent. Say that again.
New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah, no shit. Maybe I'll do a show tomorrow night too. New Year's Eve show tomorrow night. 2 shows tomorrow. Thank you, Jessica. I sent out invites to 25 athletes. Matt Susan, I sent out invites to 25 athletes. If the athletes have never been on, because we're prepping for Wadapalooza, if the athletes have never been on the show before, we'll probably match them up with or they'll get their, sorry, take 2. If the athletes have never been on the show before, they'll get their own hour and a half with Caleb and I. So we're going to have Anol Akai on, hopefully, and he'll get his own hour and a half. The other athletes, we're going to, try to split the shows up. Although it does look like Rich responded and said he's going to try to come on before Wadapalooza, and he deserves his own hour and a half always, right? Yeah.
Always. Oh.
Yeah. I also want to say thank you to Lauren Connor. She was a guest on the show, and she keeps sending me thumbnails, and she really wants to participate in the show. And I cannot tell you how much that helps. We could use all the help we can get. And so, Lauren, thank you. If anyone does send me that stuff and it takes me a while to return, I return. I try. If you send me something, I will respond. Unless like 1 in 100, I won't respond. Even at least I'll double heart it to let you know I read it. And so, but please be like, don't send me just 20 links to Instagram shit. Like
30-minute videos.
Yeah, I can't. Or you send me screenshots of something really small that's in the Lancet and it's like 5 pages long and it's like 4. Like then I need a synopsis.
It's got to be a short one. Can't be like.
But we do need help with our Instagram. Our Instagram has gone silent, and we do need help with thumbnails and we just need help. That's it. We just need help. Anyone who wants to participate, you could come get some. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Kenneth. Hey, I appreciate you too, brother. Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and maybe we New Year's Eve, as Caleb is claiming it is, and then hopefully tomorrow night maybe we'll do 2 shows. That was fun doing that on Christmas Eve and Christmas, doing double shows. Let me help, please, Allison. Please. Okay, guys. Allison, I sent you a text last night. We're going roller skating at 1:00 at Seabright Roller Rink. Want to go with the kids and eat first or eat after or anything? Let me know. We got nothing going on and it's raining. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Caleb, you the man. Bye-bye.